Hello indie game fan, some of my favorite games from my childhood are getting a new lease on life, so let me show them to you alongside some other awesome indie games, beginning with Street Lights, a third-person action title set in a dark world, where nature has taken over and gone feral, and cities have become corrupted. It's quite a beautiful looking title due to the colour palette chosen, filled with purples and oranges, where you play as an entity of light, facing off against shadowy creatures and monsters, where the combat system comprises of shifting form from orange to blue states while you parry and dodge enemy attacks, looking very slick overall and should be out in a couple of months. I absolutely cannot believe that Truxton is getting a release on Steam, where developer Bitwave Games is bringing a whole bunch of classics to Steam very soon, where I played a whole lot of this shoot 'em up in my childhood, where somehow I have the Japanese version titled Tatsujin, where I should go back to my parents' house to take a photo of that to show to you folks. This video is brought to you by The Dark Egg, a very unique text-based RPG that I've mentioned on the channel before, where they are currently on Kickstarter seeking funding. You play as an adventurer on a mysterious island, seeking out something known as the Dark Egg, said to have the power to grant any wish that you desire. There is a 2 to 3 hour long demo available on Steam right now if you're curious, where based on that little slice alone, it has already drawn quite a bit of attention, drawing comparisons to D&D, sorcery, and even Lovecraftian horror. While I did say that it was text-based, this is not ZOC by any means, and does actually have some graphics, where it's about as old school as it can get when it comes to RPG systems. Other features include choices to make, branching narratives, difficult decisions that are not as binary as Paragon/Renegade, an interactive map that draws itself, puzzles, turn-based combat, a node-based skill tree, and even sanity effects, where this is a two-man developer with one freelancer who are seeking funds to complete the game. So if you want to support something truly indie and unique, please check out their campaign. I've mentioned in the past that horror games and thrillers are not usually my genre of choice when it comes to games or movies or even books, since I do like my good night's sleep and clean pens, but somehow Loretta has cast a spell on me, so I do have to give it a mention. This title is set in the 1940s, where you, the player, is an accessory to the crimes of the main character as she tackles betrayal, her husband's infidelity, and reclaiming her own agency. Looking pretty disturbing but very well made, where it got a release date as well, which is very soon.
Welcome to ancient Egypt, land of the Pharaohs. Here you'll participate in the history of one of the greatest civilizations the world has ever seen.
The second game from my childhood is Pharaoh: A New Era, a remake of a game from 1999, where if you're new to this game, it is the classic city builder title to me, so get an idea of what to expect in this narrated trailer.
From its earliest beginnings in Egyptian prehistory, through the dawn of civilization, to the establishment of a unique and powerful empire, and beyond.
I did mention Sword of the Necromancer, Revenant when covering upcoming sequels, where this title is also on Kickstarter and has already been fully funded. The original game was a pixel art action roguelite, where you had the ability to revive fallen enemies to fight by your side, where the sequel looks drastically expanded, taking things into 3D and appears to be much more ambitious. You are now able to roam the world, having to gather the power of the Revenants in order to defeat the evil Necromancer once and for all. And yes, while it seems like a rather generic story by now, I think that there's something of interest here. Rather than being inspired by the dungeon crawling nature of titles like Enter the Gungeon and A Link to the Past in the original, this sequel instead takes inspiration from Dark Cloud, which is a cult classic that I have heard great things about, so do check out their campaign page for stretch goals and rewards. I really like the look of The Last Plague Blight, a survival title from an isometric perspective, where you're doing survival game stuff like chopping trees, mining rocks and crafting tools, having to hunt for food, build your own campsite and more, whereas compared to a first-person survival game, I do think that this is more accessible to a larger audience. It takes place in a brutal open world that is riddled by the plague, where apparently you are humanity's last hope in uncovering the origins of the disease and ending the blight, where despite the name, I don't see any mutants or fungus zombies in this, where the developers still talk about the game being rooted in realism and could potentially be a big hit. I'm gonna give this farming action roguelite a quick shout out, since it is possibly only the second title in this sub-genre, the first of course being Atomic Crops, where you have to grow and tend to your crops while fending off incoming enemies, which is exactly what you will be doing in Voltaire the Vegan Vampire. You play as the titular character, rebelling against the bloody norm, instead turning to a life of plant-based alternatives, where Dracula and his minions will want to destroy your crops to push you back to blood, where you do have multiple higher vampiric forms and unlocks from run to run, looking good and unique.
Thousands of years, brave warriors have journeyed to Elamithia in search of 8 magical stones hidden throughout the world. Each stone was forged using the most powerful magic and linked to the elements of Earth. These stones possessed unrivaled power that fueled corruption and divided what was once a peaceful world. Many have tried and failed to harness the magic of the stones. But now, that quest belongs to me.
Another title which was successfully funded in about a day is Elements, a game which I talked smack about, since I really don't like the generic title, but apparently it doesn't matter, where this Breath of the Wild inspired action RPG has certainly gotten people's attention. It does look gorgeous, although not quite as stylized as its inspiration, where the elemental magic at your disposal does look kind of neat. Other inspirations include Witcher 3, Pokemon and Minecraft, where there's village building, farming and crafting elements, stealth, puzzles, mounts and more, where the pitch here is fairly impressive, so I'm not surprised with their success, but still, do check out their campaign for stretch goals and rewards. I am so very excited to share this title since it is the sequel to one of the best pinball games in recent memory, sporting, of course, excellent pixel art and multi-stage boards incorporating elements like boss fights as well. This is all in a bid to defeat the alien xenophage swarm, where new features includes a perk system for upgrades and customization, where the sequel to Demon's Tilt is of course named Xeno Tilt, switching from fantasy to sci-fi. You can watch this video for more pixel art games.